Hello and welcome back to another video. I keep having to check my audio. For some reason, in the last video I had a little drop right at the beginning. So I'm having a little problem with OBS or my microphone, but my microphone is brand new. Hopefully it's not that. I think it's just some sort of buffer issue or something when I first start recording. So I apologize about that. Hopefully it doesn't happen too often. It's not really worth reshooting the video if the only thing I'm saying is, "Hey, welcome back, guys," and it just cuts that sentence out. So if you see me mouth, that means, hey, welcome back, guys. And if there's anything important that gets skipped in the audio, I will reshoot the video. But if it's just something like that, I'm not going to. A little bit of house cleaning. I want to thank you guys for sticking around. If you're still here, I commend you on that. You are well on your way to becoming a web developer. I know you've learned a lot so far, and there is just so much more to learn, and it's all even more exciting. One thing though, I would like to ask you guys to go ahead and watch the ads if you're watching this on an alternative tech. So go ahead and turn off your ad blockers and things like that. That will help me out. I know it's annoying to watch ads, but I think it's important that we all come together and help these alternative tech companies succeed. So the only way that they are making money right now is by ads. Now I know if you're on Rumble, you can actually pay a monthly fee of I think $10 and it will skip the ads. So that's another thing you can do if you absolutely hate the ads. Go ahead and pay the $10. We want to thank these guys. It's not free for them. In fact, it's very expensive for them to host videos. Videos are very large in file size, so they have to host these. And hopefully Rumble, them being related or in some way to, or at least having some of the same ownership as Parler.com, with Amazon shutting Parler down at the beginning of the year, it looks to me that the moment that I check this, Rumble is looking like it's on AWS, which is Amazon servers. Hopefully they'll learn a lesson and get off of there before too many people start complaining and the big tech tyrants squash an awesome alternative site like Rumble. So yeah, watch the ads or subscribe for the $10. Guys, the money doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna get pennies if that. I don't expect to make any money really on these courses. That's not the point of them. I just want to give back, and my I have like I'm just gonna come clean with you guys. I'm gonna tell you guys I have two motivations, okay, for making these videos. And sorry if this is a little bit of a rant, but I think it's important for me to tell you now that we're getting to know each other a little bit more. And I know you may not feel the same way of me, or you may not believe in the same things, but I'm gonna tell you my motivations for why I'm doing this. It's not money, okay? I make enough money. In fact, I think right now I have 3 jobs that pay me. Okay, so I'm making plenty of money. I don't want any more jobs. I'm doing this primarily, one, because I want to teach people to become developers because I know the impact that it can have on your life. It can change your life for the better. It did mine. It allowed me to stop working such hard manual jobs, which were tearing up my body, and allows me to provide for my family. I happen to believe in Jesus Christ and that He died for me and that He loves me, and I believe that He died for you and He loves you as well. And so I'm doing this out of an abundance of love and hoping that it can change your life the way that it has changed mine. So if you don't believe in Jesus, hey, I get it. I'm not trying to be pushy or anything, but that's my motivation. That's why I do this. I believe that Jesus loves you, and so I love you too because we are all created by the same God. All right. So, my second motivation though, and my second motivation is more for why I'm choosing to use alternative tech, and that is because I believe in free speech. I think that big tech companies have a monopoly on technology, and they're controlling everything, and they're not doing the things that they need to do to keep peace. And so I think they're driving division by trying to control narratives and trying to control people's thoughts and beliefs. And so I want to do everything I can to support alternative tech. So this is a little bit of a struggle for me because I've spent a lot of years on YouTube growing an audience and getting 10,000 plus subscribers. And now here I am with, right now I'm sitting I think at 13 subscribers or something like that on Rumble as of the time of recording this. Um, so yeah, I'm starting over, and I don't mind because I'd rather support Rumble and BitChute, because both of those platforms at the moment are free speech networks, and I believe in free speech. I believe in freedom. So if you believe in that too, please watch the ads, turn off your ad blockers, and if you don't want to watch ads, then pay them easily $10 a month to get a subscription for ad-free viewing. None of that, I don't think, goes to me. I haven't earned a cent yet on these platforms, so just being completely transparent with you guys. Okay, so I've blabbered on long enough about all of that, so let's just skip right into it. Let me share my screen here. And what we're going to do, I think in this video, we're going to talk about floats. Well, I know we're going to talk about floats, but I think in order to illustrate that more, we're going to go ahead and create a new file. And let's call this floats.html. And again, I created that inside my styles. Man, I just sometimes can't stand how that system works inside VS Code. There's a lot of nice things about VS Code, but that alone almost makes it worth it to not use it. Okay, but anyways, so let's go ahead now and create our HTML document here. By now, this should be becoming very familiar to you. So let's create a head. Let's create our title, and for this, we're going to call this floats. All right, and I'm also going to go ahead and add our meta tag here, and we'll do char set equals UTF-8. Okay, and then what we're going to do is add our body tags. And one last thing before it takes me too many minutes to realize what's going on, well, let's go ahead and add a link tag here, and we're going to link a style sheet in, and that is in styles CSS. That will bring in our CSS styles into this HTML document. All right, so now let's go ahead and create some divs inside this body. First of all, though, let's go ahead and put an H1 at the top here, and we'll call that floats. The next thing that I want to do is below there, I'm going to create a div, and let's just, inside of here, let's put some content. We're just going to call this div1. We'll call this div2, and let's do one more just for good measure. We'll say div3. And what I want to do is I want to give this a class of column. We'll do that for all three of these. So let's go ahead and give them a class of column. All right. Now, if we go ahead and navigate to our floats page, so we'll navigate to floats.html. And right now you can just see we have our heading up here, and then we have our three divs right there. So let's dive into our CSS. And I'm going to just create a new line down here, and let's just go ahead and create a comment. We'll call this floats. I'm going to add a few extra stars here just to kind of create like a line, and I'm going to put our float stuff down here. All right. So what we're going to do is we created a class called column. So to target our class, we're going to use a period and column. And the first thing that I want to do with these columns is I want to give them a height. Yeah, we're going to give them a height. And we're going to give them a height of 200 pixels. And we'll give them a width. And in this case, I want to give them a width of 33%. So let's save that. And actually, let's go ahead and give them a background color. And let's give them a background color of F2, F2. And let's see if this actually will show up. Okay, that shows up good enough. So now we have three divs. Just to make this look a little nicer, let's do text align center. All right. And then let's vertical align middle. Actually, don't think that's going to work. It doesn't. I would normally use something we're going to learn about later to do this, but let's see what we can do here. If I want to put the content of this, let's do a margin or let's give these some padding. And I'm going to give this a padding top and bottom. Let's do 32 pixels. And for left and right, let's just do 12 pixels, which is not going to hit that. Refresh. All right. Now you can see that the height of those, and it's a little hard to see here, but let's go ahead and also add some margin. And we'll just do 12 pixels. Okay. So these actually grew higher than 12 pixels. So if we want to control, if we want this to be exactly 200 pixels and we don't want to add the padding and margin to the height on this, so we gave it a padding, so it would be 64, so this would be 264 pixels tall instead of 200. We can actually do box sizing, and we could do border box. What that's going to do, you can see that now let me go ahead and inspect this. We can see, if I scroll down here, that the height of these is going to be 136 plus 64 plus 12. So the height should be exactly 200 pixels. Okay, so it should add all those up and keep that at exactly 200 pixels. All right, so now we got these three divs, and let's imagine that we wanted these in columns. Now, there are better ways to do this, but for now I'm going to show you this because up until recently, this is how you would make columns. You would use floats. And so what I can do here is I can actually come in and just say float left. If I do that, they start making columns. Now they're not all three going to fit because I gave it a width of 33%, and because of our margin or our space in between there, it doesn't quite work. So instead what we can do is we can actually do a calc function here, and we can figure out what this is going to be. So we want them to be 33%, and we know that we have 12 pixels in between them. So we can actually minus 24 pixels on these, and there you go, they fit on the screen. And actually I think because of the collapse we can do minus 12 pixels. No, let's see, just want to try something really quick. No, okay. Yeah, so we'll add both of the margin together, and let's see. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it is. So it's 24. So 33% minus 24 pixels. We'll put these in 3 columns across here. Okay, so now that creates these columns, and what we're using is floats here. Let me show you what would happen if we switch this to float right. Oh, look, it reversed the order. And the reason that's happening is because if you look at the HTML, each one of these elements have the property of float left. So what it's going to or float right. So what it's going to try to do is float this to the right. So the first one that it hits is this div, and that's going to float all the way to the right. The next one it floats right, so it's going to be in the middle, and then the next one floats right, but it's going to be way over here to the left. So if we use float right, these are going to be reversed. Just keep that in mind. But I could put that back to float left, and that is going to cause these to be in the correct order that we expect them to be, and they're in columns. Now, let's go ahead and let's add in the floats.html, I'm going to add one more column here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to add two columns. We're going to say div 4, and we'll say div 5. And what I want to do here is let's give these a class of just box, because I want to give them some of the same properties. So let's go ahead and add a new class of box. And I want these to be a height of 200 pixels. I want to do a width of calc 33% minus 24 pixels. And then we'll do a margin 12 pixels. And we're going to do a padding of 32 pixels and 12 pixels. And we're not going to float these, so let's see what happens now. Oop, I forgot to do, I'm doing a lot of, this is a good opportunity to talk about, I don't really want to duplicate all this code. So this is almost all the same code. So instead what I can do is add this box thing up here, and I'm going to remove everything out of here. And I'm going to put that in the box class, and I'm only going to leave the float in the column. Like that. And then what we'll do is in the floats HTML, we'll actually give these another class of box. And now if I refresh, what did I mess up? Well, actually, I may not have messed up anything. This brings me up to another point. Let me go ahead and close some of these files we don't need right now. And what's happening is this float starts to act a little bit funny with the other content that's on the screen. Okay, and so what we need to do here is there's a special thing we have to do after this row of columns. Say if I want to start another row, then we're going to do class equals, and we'll just do clear fix. Okay, we'll call that clear fix. We're not going to put any content in there, we don't need to. But what we'll need to do is let's create a clear fix class, and what we're going to do is do clear both. We'll talk about what that does in a second. And now this looks correct. This is what we expected. We have our columns all in a row here, and these two boxes here look correct now, and they are not floated. They are falling into their natural position in the document. So what happens with this float is all of the content tries to float next to this. If you remember in the last chapter when we did the text with the image, that text floated around the image because we floated that image right. And that's a really good use for floats. And there's better ways to build out these columns, and we're going to learn about that later. But as recently, I don't know if you're familiar with a CSS framework called Bootstrap, but even as recent as Bootstrap 3, they were still using floats to do their columns on their page. So I wanted to include this to kind of show you what's happening. But this clear property here, we haven't talked about that. But what this does is clear could be left, right, or both. And when you put a clear here, what it does is it says don't allow anything to be floated left, right, left or right of this. So we got this, and so this div right here says, hey, don't. It's not there's actually a div in between here that with the empty div right here, and this div says don't let anything be floated left or right since we used both. And because we did that, then follows back into the natural flow of the document. So before we did that, let me just go ahead and we'll get rid of this. This is what happens. So we got some funky stuff going on here where this, let me just go on this. I want to show you this. And just for the time being, I'm going to give this an inline style of border and, oops, yeah, we'll do border, and I'm going to put it at 1 pixel solid black, and we'll refresh here. And then we'll come down and we'll turn that clear fix off. And you can see that this is floating all the way up here to the top. It's just doing some really bizarre stuff on this div 4. And then the text is coming down here. So that's the downside of using floats to kind of build out a layout like this. We have to use that clear fix. And if I go ahead and turn that clear fix off or back on, you can see that it fixes this. But float just allows content to float next to the other content. That's basically what it does. But if you're going to use it for columns or anything, just keep in mind you may have to do some sort of extra div to clear fix this and use this clear property here in order to solve some of the weird issues that do come up with it. Now it is a nice solution, but it may not be a permanent or proper solution. And we're going to come up with some better stuff later on in the chapter with some more modern ways to handle this, and I think you're going to really enjoy those, especially after seeing some of the janky things that this will do. But I just wanted to kind of go over floats and show you what they are, and so that if you see them, you know how to either, you might have to do something like this to fix an issue, but I did want to just show you the floats. Alright guys, well that's it for now, and I will see you in the next video where we are going to talk probably more, we're going to dive a little deeper into some different selectors, some more complex. We had a lesson where we did simple selectors, and I'm going to go through and show you some more complex selectors in the next video. So I will see you guys then.